All right, and we are back with another great show for positive influence tonight. And it's going to be a little bit different on this recording. I'm looking forward to this one. We do a lot with the comic creators. I started bringing in some of the pop culture. Wrestlers are on the way. We've already talked about that in some past shows and things. Tonight's show is different from all of that, shall we say. It kind of is a bridge and different things that are involved in there and different elements. And you're going to see that as we go along, but it's going to be a lot of fun as well. So the main thing that I always ask whenever you start watching these things, if you will, go ahead and start off the first thing on there. You see where it says, please let's share. Did I get the finger? I get the finger right every once in a while. Please let's share this and increase the voice of the indies together. That's what we need to do. Let's go ahead and start getting that voice out there of the people and make sure that we're getting enough people to pay attention to what's going on with this, because I think you're going to find this one rather interesting. So let me go ahead and get this set up and ready to go. And I hope you're all ready for a good time, because here it comes, because here is Guy McMonsterMaker.
Greetings.
What's going on? Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I'm glad to be here. I'm pretty excited.
Awesome. Now, before we get started into very likely shenanigans on this thing, let's go ahead and get you to go ahead and let everybody know who you are, what you do, and where to find you.
Alrighty. My name is Guy McMonsterMaker, aka Drew, my actual name. I say it's my boring non-business name. And I am the founder of McMonsterMaker Holdings LLC. And under that, we have the Creatureporium and McMonsterMaker Publishing. And I basically specialize in creating statues and collectibles. And I'm also an author.
There you go. I mean, you've dabbled in a little bit of everything on there. We're going to kind of touch, on talking about some of these things as well, because that was great for leading into the teaser. You went ahead and you just kind of shook the worm over the lake at that point. You said, nope, not yet.
Oh, my bad. I don't know what I don't know what to say. Sorry. I said too much. I also do more stuff, but I can't talk about it just yet.
Exactly. No, I mean, you've got some really cool stuff that you work on. And the thing that really got my attention in the first place was, it says it right there in your name, Monster Maker, because you make monsters.
Yes.
No, it's not a Frankenstein type thing. You're not doing that with, the brain. We're not doing that. Well,
Correct.
If you are, I don't want to know about it, because it makes me a conspiracy on that. And, no. Yeah, exactly. No, we're not going there.
All right, I won't tell you what we're really doing here. But.
Yeah. If there's a knocking behind the wall, I never heard anything. So what got my attention is some of the monsters that you've created and kind of shown from, especially like the movie things that are out there.
Yes, sir.
You showed some like Friday the 13th, the Graboid, which was awesome.
Yes. That is one of
those of you that are watching that don't know what a Graboid is, I don't know if you need to go ahead and just click off right now or pay attention. I'm kind of conflicted on what I want you to do at this point.
Whatever you do, just don't mistake it for a Sarlacc or the worm from Dune. That's all you need.
That's it right there. That's exactly what I was going for, because too many people have looked at me and gone, man, isn't that the one from Dune? And I'm like, no. It's the one from Beetlejuice. No, not that one.
Wow. I actually did make one of those once, the sandworm. I made a wreath for a dear friend of the family, a wreath with the snake, the Beetlejuice snake, eating the sandworm, and then the sandworm was eating the Beetlejuice snake. It was like
nice.
a full, yeah. I should bring that one out of retirement, maybe for Halloween.
Awesome. Well, I mean, the thing that got my attention is not only the fact that you're doing these things, it's what you did at the point that you made it. And this is kind of what I want to bring up, and this is why I wanted to have you on as a guest. And whenever I reached out to you at the time that I did, is because there was a post that you put out there and you were apologizing for a piece that you were working on, because you said that you showed it off too early and you didn't want to show it off because it wasn't complete, and you wanted to do some more touch-ups and things like that to it. That really got my attention, because that shows how much passion that you put into what you put out there, because people were getting excited with what you showed on there, and you come up with an immediate thing saying, I am so sorry, that thing is not done. It looks, it doesn't look the right way that I want it to. The tail is, incorrect on there. I'm going to fix that.
I believe it was the Graboid, I think, the prototype for it.
Yes, I believe so. But you had even said that's the prototype. But that really got my attention, that you had the values enough to go ahead and say, look, I'm glad that y'all are enjoying this, but you haven't seen anything yet. Wait till I get this thing done.
You know, you may be the very first person to echo that sentiment as if I were thinking it. That's exactly what it was. And as much as I appreciate all, and trust me, I am not poor in the wonderful people department surrounding this entire experience. People like you, all of the people on my social media, I am very very fortunate to have such wonderful people around me all the time, commenting and just being kind and positive. But with that piece, I'm just like, look, guys, I know you enjoy what I do, but this is not this. No, no, just give me a minute, guys. You know, we've since rectified that mistake, but yes, I do believe that whatever you do, you know, do the best that you possibly can. Do not rest on your laurels. Do not take shortcuts, and do not just don't be inefficient. You know what I mean. That's just how I am. So
And
I
that right
appreciate
there,
that.
exactly. And that right there is what caught my attention because my shows are all about positivity and the passion that you put into what you're doing. And I was like, this guy exudes every bit of that right there in that one post that you put.
Kind of
And
you.
then whenever I started chatting with you, I was like, oh, he's definitely coming on. We're doing this.
Well, thank
Uh,
you very much.
so that was my first introduction. And then, of course, I looked at some of the other stuff that you had on there, the face hugger from Aliens. I mean, how can you go wrong with that?
So, Alien, it's very strange because I love the Alien franchise. If you can't tell already, but it's very interesting because somehow my love for that series in particular, somehow it transmits to other people where they just associate me with Alien without me really saying anything. It's
Mhm.
almost like they just know telepathically, which I appreciate. You know, I love getting inbox stuff with Alien anything because it is my absolute favorite film of all time. Well, Alien and Aliens. Alien 3 was good too. Part 4, eh.
And we definitely agree on that because it was one of those rare instances where the second one was right on par with the first, and then they did the next one, and it's kind of like stay with the second one.
Right? I mean, you can't go wrong with James Cameron, and you couldn't go wrong with David Fincher most
Nope,
of the time. I mean,
nope,
I liked it. I like part 3, but it has its moments where it's a little too nihilistic, even for a monster maker, you know?
right. And that's saying something right there. That needs to be in like a quote in a book right there, saying too nihilistic for a monster maker. That's right there.
Right?
Uh,
I mean, our psyches are already littered with gore and destruction, and so then when that guy is like, "Damn, that's a little dark."
Now, what are exactly are we talking about? Some of the people that are kind of watching this right now and kind of going, "What are you talking about that he actually makes?" So I want to show some of this as
Ah,
well, and through the magic of technology, I can kind of show it off to the side here so we can kind of look at it as well. Um, this will show kind of a grid format of some of the different ones that he has worked on.
right.
You can
An
kind of go
overview.
through here and pick your favorites that are in there, but you can definitely see detail work that is put into these things that make them just look awesome. Like I've already brought up a couple of them on there, but I mean, even your Terminator, I mean, that looks like the Governator right up there in the top corner. I mean, it really
Thank
does.
you. Thank you very much. So everything that I sculpted, very, very copious amounts of photo reference from all angles that I can possibly find. In some cases, you actually have to freeze frame the movies to get what you're looking for because the internet's not that helpful sometimes. You know,
Right.
one thing I refuse to do though is ad lib, I guess you could say, or wing the details. If you're going to be recreating something, especially, you need to make sure that you are honoring that subject matter as best you can.
Yes. And you can definitely tell, I mean, Graboids, you definitely did that as well because that's got so much detail in it that you almost feel like it's about to pop up out of the ground somewhere underneath you. Um, I mean,
Uh,
you could really scare some clients if you had that, at a con or something like that, and had that on the floor, and you said mind your feet. That thing's trying to eat your foot or whatever, and they might jump a little bit.
Especially because I only recently realized that actually is about the scale, I believe, of I think it was called a dirt dragon in part 4, which
Hmm.
is the baby graboid before it becomes the big one. I think it was almost about the same. I could be wrong. It's been a long time since I've seen the film, but I have options. I can always say, okay, it's a really large graboid statue, or it's a life-size statue of the dirt dragon.
Exactly. Now I've got to ask you. when you get an idea to do, one of these statues, one of these monsters you're making and everything, from
Yes.
the idea to actually being in your hands and ready to be format and everything like that, how much time are we looking at on that?
Oh boy. Well, let's see. I don't know how long this show's gonna be, but the answer, no, I'm kidding. So the initial, usually everything starts out with an initial either a 2D sketch or a what we call a 3D sketch, and it's just kind of like a proxy placeholder for all the proportions and shapes and things. That usually takes anywhere from 2 to 4 days, give or take. The actual sculpture itself can take anywhere from a week to 2.5 months. It really just depends on the complexity and the subject matter.
Hmm.
And then from there, the actual fabricating process can take anywhere from 7 hours to 30, 35 hours or so. And then you have the post processing work, sanding, priming, painting, etc. And that can take 1 to 2 days. It's a fairly lengthy process. Unfortunately, I cannot pin down a specific. So I would
Right.
just say anywhere from a week to 2.5 months.
Right. And that's fine, because I mean, it's just one of those things that I want to kind of point out there. This is not something that people look at going, oh, I'm going to give this a try. I'm going to make one of these tomorrow. No, you're not.
Well, I have had a lot of people who sort of do take that approach. It does feel slightly like a slap in the face because it did take me about 26 years to learn how to sculpt the way that I do. But, hey, I think the prevailing wisdom is that, oh, well, you did it on the computer, so all of a sudden this is no longer relevant. The computer does everything. So this is basically my rake, my spatula, my everything.
Hmm.
But they think that the computer, make me a monster, and then bam, you got a monster. Not
Well, I
quite.
mean, it doesn't quite work that way because we're supposed to get flying cars before we get that technology for that. So, I mean, we're
Right.
still almost there, but not quite.
I'll settle for self-driving cars with my vision and everything. So that's what I'm the most excited about.
So, I mean, you've got a lot of these monsters that you're making and stuff like that. You actually do the painting of them as well, correct?
Yes, sir. Everything that my entire motto is everything done in-house from scratch. There is not going to be a single piece that you will find that was pre-existing, with one exception. Samara, my ring bust. I do
Hmm.
not have the time to shave some woman's head and make a wig, so I do buy the wigs and the nightgown for her. But other than that, everything else is made from scratch.
That is, I mean, that is awesome though, because even that gives it more of a realistic feel, and even more creepy now that I think about it, for Samara being having the actual hair instead of just painted hair. Painted hair, I can go,
Right.
oh, it's a model. With the actual realistic hair, it's kind of like, oh, what did I get into?
Oh,
Uh,
especially when you have it in the right lighting. I'm very fortunate that I get some very good feedback from my customers. I actually had a parent, not no, let me rephrase. I had a customer who was a parent, and he got his Samara bust, and he said, "Oh yeah, so thanks to you, my son won't come into the living room anymore because if the lights off and he sees Samara, he runs." And I can empathize because I sculpted the dang thing, and even I feel like it could bite my face off if I get too close under the right lighting. So, you know, imagination, right?
Now, does it come with the VHS as a base, or is it, can you get
It
that
does
separate?
not. Unfortunately, I made a standard display base. Although, I mean, maybe in the future, like a super special edition, and then I'll say, uh, credit to Demon Phil for the suggestion if I do
Ah,
it.
yeah, that's what other people want to see is, a statue of Samara with the one cassette underneath there with credit to Demon Phil. Oh yeah, that thing's not cursed.
Well, I'll put it in the description. We'll leave that part off of the thing. It's like, Demon Phil. Oh my god. Oh no. I don't want that anymore. I'm going to say, thanks a lot, Phil. You ruined my sales. She was selling like hotcakes until you came along.
Now, the next thing that I want to talk about is not only are you doing the sculpting, which we're going to delve into a little bit more on there as well, but I want to talk about something else that you're working on, and I'm going to
Yes.
bring this up through the miracle of technology because I love doing this. Um, this
Ah,
is actually your book, The Leaven.
yes, sir.
Uh, I You gave me the elevator pitch on this today, And whenever you did, and I got that and I read through it, and I was like, I had no idea what this thing's about, but now I have to have it. I mean, it has to happen. Um, and I want mine signed, by the way, whenever I do order. I'm just throwing that out there.
Yes, sir. I will. I got a funny story about that too, but I won't bug you with that just yet.
Oh, no, no problem. But I mean, go ahead and let everyone know what the gist is of this story so they can get hooked as well. And then kind of let them know what to expect whenever they open this thing up.
Oh boy. Well, jeez. So what to expect? That is a good. That's a good one. Now here's where you got me in like the flubbing, tripping over myself mode, because as the author, it's always hard to kind of condense an entire book into a paragraph or two. But I'm going to give it a shot. I'm going to give it a shot. Essentially, The Leaven is a genre bender in that it's primarily a horror sci-fi, but it has comedy, romance, suspense, thriller, everything else that you could possibly think of in the kitchen sink thrown in, but in appropriate doses. My whole thing is, I believe that there is no such thing as a scenario that is only one type of mood or atmosphere. That's not how life works, even if it's something as fantastical as this subject matter. So the story is about a young woman named Calla Shepherd, who is basically a half human, half clone hybrid that has been created for. This is where it gets tricky because I don't want to give too much of the book away
Mm-hmm.
while at the same time describing it. So let me put it this way. It's about somebody who has been shunned from birth, and they have to make a very important decision that will impact the remainder of humanity. Um, this is hard. What I can say, in addition to that, is maybe click the link on the book and then you can read it for yourself, because I'm horrible at this
There
right now.
you
Like
go.
I'm seriously gonna like just start making fart noises in a second. So
And see, this is why I always let the my guests go ahead and talk about what it is, because I don't want to give anything away that I shouldn't. Because
right,
I get so
yeah,
excited whenever I get things like this on here, and I'm like, oh, don't forget about such and such, and you're going over there
right.
going, no, 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 we can't say that. Cut
Oh
that off.
no, no. That's my problem. Is I could give the entire book away with one or two sentences if I'm not careful, and I don't want to do that because that would defeat the purpose of it. What I can tell you is, everyone from 16-year-old ladies all the way up to like 60-year-old men have responded very favorably to it. So it has a wide scope. There is no particular demographic or
Mhm.
gender or what have you. It's for everybody, and that I'm very proud of, immensely proud of. And I get a lot. I don't know if this is a good thing or not, but I do get a lot of people who say, it's not usually like my kind of book, but I really enjoyed it. And I'm thinking, okay, thanks. You know, so that is one thing that I'm also very proud of. And then just recently, and I did not read this gentleman's books as a child, but it got compared stylistically, I guess, to Dean Koontz, which,
Nice.
yeah, that's the response that I've been getting from a lot of people. I'm a Stephen King guy. I know
Mhm.
that they were kind of like neck and neck back in the day, but hey, you know what? If that's a good thing, I'll take it.
Oh yes. Oh, it definitely is. It definitely is.
Awesome. Well,
He's
when you
one of
get
those
your
that,
copy, you can read it, and then we can have another show, another one
oh,
of these, and you can say, "Well, these people are freaking crazy. This book sucked." And then that's when at the end of it, I'll tell you, I'm really not too fond of your podcast. So I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
now, now this is a novel, correct? How many pages are we looking at?
Oh boy, 338, I believe. That's off the top of my head. Don't quote me. It's in that range. It's a pretty long one.
Okay.
It takes a couple hours to finish. I can tell you that.
Which yeah, that's fine. I just making sure it wasn't actually just a regular sized comic or a pop up book or anything like that. I
Oh
wanted
no.
to know what I was getting into.
Ooh, pop-up book. Now that would be especially diabolical. I would love to make a leave-in pop-up book if when okay, you Oh man, there's some stuff I would love to talk about, but I can't because it'll ruin it. But I'm like, if that was in pop-up format, I'd give kids, they need therapy. Awesome. Okay, so duly
See,
noted. Next one, pop-up book, the
I, I
Leaving Kids edition.
I just gave you more work, and you weren't even aware that I was going to give you more work on this.
Right, right. Now I'm thinking, I've been working on the sequel. It's going to be due out at the end of the year. It was supposed to be May, but because of the workload that I have with the statue wing of things, I'm not going to meet that deadline. But now I'm going to put that on the back burner so I can make the Leave and Pop Up book.
There you go. There you go. Now I'm going to show a couple of things on here now that we're actually going to show. You've got a couple of conventions that are coming up that you wanted to go ahead and mention as well.
Yes,
The
sir.
first one, I'm going to let you go ahead and talk about this one. The second one, that's where it kind of hits home with me because that's where I grew up. So we're going to bring up the first one on here right now.
Oh,
And
okay.
this one is in Las Colinas, I'm sorry, Texas, at the Irving Convention Center. What is this one here for you? What
So
kind of convention are we looking at?
this is an awesome event. It's called the Preserve Halloween Festival. It's run by Humble Enterprises, and the showrunner is a gentleman by the name of Gregory Hollows, a man who loves Halloween so much that he actually changed his name legally to Hollows. And super nice guy. The last time we did this event, we hit it off, and he is a fantastic person. But what this show is essentially, people who love Halloween, it's a Halloween festival in November, because who says that it has to be over October 31st? It
Yes.
doesn't make any sense. If you want to enjoy it later or the next month, by golly, you do it. And they have some pretty awesome guests. I'm not sure who's going to be at this next one, as we literally just secured our spots.
Mhm.
But last year there were tons and tons of my personal heroes there. Tom Woodruff Jr., who worked on the Alien films, was there, and
Yes.
I tell you, I think I spent more time picking his brain than I did actually selling product. I was so enamored, and I just couldn't stop talking to him the entire time. I left the booth to my fiance to handle things. All right, you handle the customers. I gotta go talk to that guy. But it was worth its weight in informational gold, because when does anybody really have an opportunity to talk to their heroes? And I do not have very many heroes. I'll be honest. I didn't really look up to many people growing up, except for the effects guys.
Yeah.
So this is just, yeah, I'm hoping that it'll be there this year. But anyhow, it is basically, yeah, you love Halloween, you live in Texas, in Irving, and
There you go.
you're done trick or treating, come here and get the next Halloween fix.
That is awesome with that. And of course, the next one here, this is the one because I actually grew up in the Houston area most all of my life. So the Houston Horror Film Fest, this one kind of hits home. I like this.
Oh yes, it's a pretty big show. It's not quite the biggest in Texas. I think that would be Texas Frightmare, which they have put me on their waiting list, unfortunately. But I'm hoping to get in there within the next decade, hopefully. In the meantime, Houston Horror Film Fest is a nice uh, I don't want to say runner up, because it's its own thing that's just as
Right.
awesome. But you know what I mean. This is where I'm probably going to be like, okay, shut up, guy. You don't want to go to these conventions. I mean, there are different people for different events. So,
Oh
but
yeah.
I find that these horror events, I, I just, the people that you meet there are just always so fantastic. So I'm really excited about that. Not even so much the screenings for the films, because I'll be honest, whenever I do an event, I'm, with the exception of meeting Tom Woodrow Jr., I am stuck at my booth, and I do
Nope.
not move at all for anything. There could be a
Nope.
fire, and I'll still be like, well, here's a micro. Would you like to buy it? And here you go, the book. Okay, maybe not if there were a fire, but yeah, I'm pretty excited about this one, because this is the first, I would say, larger convention that we've done in Texas. We did the Louisiana Comic Con just a couple of months ago, and that was like the first Comic Con that we had ever done, and that was actually through Gregory Hollow's venue. So
Oh, nice.
yes, very exciting. So we've kind of built a nice rapport with the gentleman and his staff. So, and
Very
then
nice.
yeah, so here's where, again, Save
And
because I don't know what to say next.
no, I was going to say, and then after Houston Horror Film Fest, you go across the border and you go over there to Louisiana and you go over there to that time for Cult Classic.
Yes, sir. We
Oh
just got that word. I think it was yesterday that we're going to be doing the Baton Rouge Cult Classic, which I'm very excited about because I have been wanting to get into Cult Classic for some time. So this is super exciting, and I do not know who is going to be at this one, with the exception of I know CJ Graham is going to be there. If you're a horror fan, he was Jason in Friday the 13th, I believe, part 6.
six, yes.
Super amazing guy. So nice. I met him one time before at an event, and yeah, I can't say enough nice things about that guy. But I don't know anyone who couldn't either. I mean, maybe like some of the other Jasons. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm very excited about that one. I have no idea what to expect from either of these in terms of volume. All I know is I have got to get to work like now to to have inventory for those shows.
Oh yeah. Oh yes, most definitely. And I mean, if you do it fast enough and you get a little bit of time in there, you might even have that pop-up book ready.
Oh boy. Yeah, I don't think that's happening. I would love to say, oh, absolutely, but I do not think it's going to happen.
So those
I
of
am
you that are
so
watching in Louisiana and you think you're going to get the pop-up book, it's not happening. I'm just messing with y'all. It just be
yeah, I'm
patient.
sorry, guys. No pop-up book for you. Maybe next year.
Exactly. Exactly.
I do have a children's book that I do plan on rolling out based on my own line of Creatureporium cuties, which are horror themed, like adorable versions. Uh, that's not a joke. I really do have that plan. But
Mhm.
maybe I should make it a pop up book. So,
There you go.
if I do, I will put, thanks to, Demon Phil for inspiring me to make it a pop up book.
Nice. That would be awesome. Now, you've got a lot of passion in everything that you do on this. I mean, we've been talking about, your passion in the modeling. We've been talking, and what I mean by modeling is the models you make, not modeling, but models.
Well, I mean, I'm a little too short for runway, though I have tried. Turns out I'm not very good in heels, but when you can't model, you sculpt. You
Hey,
know.
to each their own. I mean, I got the face for radio, and yet I'm still on here, so it happens. Um, but no, I mean, you've got the models that you're doing and everything. You've got the book, so you're writing on that. You've got the conventions that you go to, and you're very energetic and pulling everybody into that energy that you got going on with that. What is something
Thank
that
you.
that is on your bucket list that you definitely want to do with this business and a place that you want to go with this? Is there a certain convention? Is
Oh
there a
boy.
certain person that you want to put this in front of and say, "What do you think? Check this out."
Honestly, my bucket list. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. A bucket list is a thing that you will achieve, or something that you would like to achieve, but may not be able to
that
because
you
you're
that
dead.
you
Type thing.
ultimately would like to.
Okay. That's tricky because what I will achieve is different from what I would like to. My forecast next 10 to 15 years, I want to be standing next to my bigger competitors at Sideshow Collectibles and Prime One Studios and Nika and McFarlane and all those.
Mhm.
Um, I would say, as far as a bucket list thing that may or may not happen, I would just like to be able to, before I die, see my son take over what I've built for him. Honestly,
Nice.
that's pretty much the only thing that means anything to me. Just leaving him a legacy if I can by working
Yes.
my ass off.
No, and that is awesome that you bring that up because legacy is a huge thing, but it takes the footprints to get there. And
Yeah,
you're definitely leaving footprints
it takes
there.
a lot
And
of work,
exactly.
and it's
Because there's
not
a lot
for
of
the
people
faint
that
of
look
heart.
into exactly. They look into things like this. They look into comics. They look into other things that are out there, and they're like, "I'd like to try it. Let me get into it." And then they get upset whenever, in the first year or less, they haven't really made anything off of it, and they're not moving forward at all. And they kind of go, "Well, I'm either going to give up, or somebody has to pay attention to me,"
Mm.
and that's not the way it works.
Yeah, you cannot give up, especially if your heart is in it, and everything that you your DNA, if it's in what you love to do. And mind you, I completely fell into this uh, career. As abysmally cliche as that sounds, I literally fell into it. I had no intention of building a company. It just so happened that my passion for what I was creating at the time organically led to it. And then I guess to a certain degree, you sort of have to have a decent business acumen to be able to get to another stage or point, I guess. And
Hmm.
I don't know, maybe I get that from my mom's side of the family. I don't know, but I definitely have a little bit of that, so I think that helps. But yeah, if you don't love what you do, you better at least do the best that you can at it until you're appreciated or respected for the fact that you do the best that you can. You
Hmm.
know, everyone wants to, you know, get a job being the president of a company instead of working their way up these days. It seems like, especially with the younger folks, that's how it feels anyway.
Hmm.
Uh, so I don't know, that could be just like a rant I'm going off of, but I'm very passionate about the work ethic as well
Hmm.
as creativity. If you can't have one, uh, then the other one will crumble just as easily, you know? So
Exactly. And going off of that work ethic, it's going to bring up a question that I have to ask you about this because I love asking my guests this one.
yeah.
When you got the book, whenever you created it, it was in your head. You put it to paper, and you got it
Mm.
printed, and you had this box come in with all these books, and you took one and held it in your hand. Tell me what that emotion was.
Um, that's tricky. So for myself, it was okay, good. It arrived on time. You know, that's the best way that I can describe it because my entire life, I'll be completely frank. I just if I plan on doing something, like I will do it. I don't let
Hmm.
anything stop me or get in my way. So
Okay.
you know, like you sit there and you read the statistics, 95% of books fail. I'm like, okay, well, sucks for those 95%. Like, okay, so let's
I'm
get
a
it
five
done.
percenter.
You know,
Exactly.
I guess I don't know how to not see something through, I guess. So
Yes.
I would like to say like, oh man, it felt like validating. None of that. I already knew it was going to come. So it's just like, all right, yeah, put the work in and then you hold it. You know, that's, I'm sorry. That's probably like the
Oh
worst
no.
answer you could probably have.
Oh no,
Maybe,
no,
I
no,
don't
no.
know.
See, the thing is I get different answers every time, and it's very
Oh
cool
yeah.
because even you gave a very different answer on there, but it plays directly into your work ethic, and you hit it right the nail on the head with that one. Whenever you said 95% of them fail, so where do I want to be? And I was like, you're going to be a 5%er if you say you're going to
Yeah,
make this and
it
make it every
really
time.
I mean, like I tell my son, and I did not get this from Star Wars, you know, there's no such thing as trying. You do it. So anybody who ever says, I'll try, whatever happens, it's always, you know, an opening to kind of half ass it
Yes.
or not commit. So if especially when it comes to anything creative, and I don't know why that is. So it's
Hmm.
like, you know what? If you want to see that, put your money where your mouth is. Do it. Do it and do it as best you can. You know, if you're going to critique a movie, write a screenplay, write one better than the one that you hated. You don't
Hmm.
like the way. That's how this business started.
Yes.
I was looking online for an alien statue, just something to collect, and I didn't really enjoy looking at what I saw online. So I just decided, okay, well, I'm gonna make one myself. And fast forward a couple years later, and it's one of like my best sellers. It's my Alien Queen's giant,
Oh yeah.
the big girl. I wish I had one completed. I'd show you, but it would probably hurt my back. So from carrying it,
Oh, it's that big, huh?
it's pretty big. It's 2 feet long. It's
Oh wow.
yeah. She's not for the faint of heart.
So how long does setup take? Whenever you get to a con, I mean, do you have to set up overnight and wait till the next morning type
uh,
thing?
it could take quite a while. However, we've got it down to a science now, really. So it's I would say the first couple of times it would take longer than it needed to the point where people would be coming by the table and we'd say, excuse me, just one moment while we get this, you know. Now it's I think we can get it up and running in maybe 20 minutes tops.
Wow.
You just kind of have to have we have the exact same layout for everywhere we go.
Right.
Although when we did the Louisiana Comic Con, it was interesting because I was stupid and wanted to try to do something different. So I thought, well, you know how like when you look at a jewelry store and the booths are kind of set up in reverse so that people can like
Right.
walk up to the tables and you kind of mingle with them. That's
Right.
a horrible idea when you're doing a convention of any
Yes.
kind. And
Yes.
anybody who thinks it's a good idea, you're crazy and wrong because We tried it, and I can tell you that's a horrible, horrible idea. We had so many people in the booth that we could not actually even see our product. So, I mean, fortunately, you know, we come across decent, awesome people, but like, what if we were in like some crime-ridden, horrible area or something, and the next thing you know, all of my stuff would have vanished off the table because I wouldn't have seen if someone palmed it or not. Like, so in the middle of the show, we actually changed it. We moved the tables around. Well, traffic is going, and I'm
Yes.
glad we did, but it was pretty funny because I'm sitting there thinking, yeah, this is gonna be awesome. More people will be able to come in and look at the stuff. And at the end of it, I'm like, what did I do? Oh my god. Yeah.
I mean, it's just like having a garage sale and you open up at 8 o'clock in the morning, 5 o'clock in the morning, they're rushing it to come in, and you're like, oh man, I should have thought this through.
Right, right. At least let me have some coffee before you try to lowball me on that
Oh
golf
yes, most
club
definitely.
set, you know? Yeah.
Don't get to me before coffee. It's not pretty sight.
Actually, I don't even drink coffee. I don't know why I made that joke. I think because so many people do drink coffee, so like it just came to mind.
You come up with
I,
all these ideas and you're not on coffee. That's just even more amazing.
whoa, 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 whoa. No, no, no. I cannot. Mm-mm. So I never said I was not a caffeine fiend. I just don't drink coffee. There's probably a gentleman who might watch this named Dane Miller, and maybe he'll chime in somehow. But he'll tell you I am an energy drink freak.
There we go.
I probably shouldn't be. I'll be honest. I'm 41 and I need to exercise more. So one day maybe I'll, oh, I made my crowning achievement statue. And then, I hope that doesn't happen, but hey, at least I'll
Very
die
true.
doing something I love.
Very true. Very true. Now I have to ask you, and going back to the statues and the stuff that you're making and all
Yes,
that,
sir.
what has been the most challenging piece that you
Oh
had to
boy,
work on?
the most challenging. Now that one I can definitely uh let's draw what do they say? Draw a number. There's a few of them. I would say the most challenging one from a technical standpoint was probably I just did a Hannibal Lecter
Okay.
bust, and that one was the most difficult, I would say, because I have a very difficult time envisioning something without all of the photo reference. And I wanted to get, there was a specific scene. It's for a dear friend, this piece that I'm making, but you only see him from the front in
Hmm.
this one scene. It was where he's being interviewed by Clarice from the first time, and he's like staring at her, and it's like, "Ugh,"
Yes.
her teeth are coming up. And
Yes.
so I don't know if you're familiar with sculpting, but when you do certainly any human forms, a lot of the tertiary details can be muddied if you don't have that extra dimension to reference all of
Right.
the it's probably the same thing, like comic book artists probably have the same thing, when you're illustrating something like from a profile versus straight on or like three-quarter turn or what have you.
Hmm.
Without that side profile, it was actually very challenging to make that piece as accurate. I'm a stickler for those little details, right? So I wanted the nostrils to be just right. I wanted the eye folds to be just right. And when you're looking forward, it's actually very difficult to achieve that. We managed to pull it off, but what I had to do was look at photos of him from the side at age 70, and then kind of youth soften the wrinkles. And it was a whole process. I'm in the process of now bringing that one to life to ship off to Australia soon, but that would be my most challenging one. Yeah,
Nice.
definitely.
And I will definitely say that should Sir Anthony Hopkins end up watching this later on or something like that and sees that on there and hears about this and wants to reach out to you and see how well you did, you definitely got to let me know how much you were shaking whenever you have him on video chat or something. He's like, "Well, hello, guy. Where's my statue?"
Hello, McMonsterMaker. I hear you made a bust of me. May I see?
Exactly.
No, boy, oh boy.
Now, have there been any surreal moments like that where you've made something and something along the stuff that you've made, somebody's come up there and that's been a part of that's come up there saying, "Awesome, that is just something I can imagine it my way, and you did it your way, and it came out perfect."
Oh, yes, actually, a few times. So, let's see. The first time I experienced anything like that was with John Rosengrant, who was the one of the co-founders of Legacy Effects after Stan Winston passed away,
Yes.
and he received one of my Alien Queen heads that I make, and he has it. I'm assuming now. I haven't kept up with any of that, but he when he saw it, I was told that he's like, oh wow, wow, look at that, you even got the teeth right, no, the tendons. Wow, that looks really, even the colors and everything. This looks fantastic. And so to hear that made
Yeah.
my whole year at the time, because he was one of the gentlemen who worked on the Alien Queen with
Yes.
his bare hands. So for someone in that field, it's like, oh, oh,
Yes.
thank you. I'm so happy. I'm glad you love it. And and then that has happened a few times in my life. I don't want to, just like go on and on and on, because I was like, and then there was this, and then there was this time. But it's happened a few times since, and I'm immensely grateful for every time that I get that opportunity. Yes.
And if you feel the need to, and then this time and then this time, just make sure you have your pinky out whenever you drink your energy drink, so we at least know
you
that
know,
you're in the proper way there.
yeah, no, I'll take that into consideration. I'll have like a glass of Chardonnay with me, or something, and then such and such and such and such. I don't, I don't like to. I like to talk about my stuff. Like, I'm very proud of that stuff, but like I don't want to come off as like boastful or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, so
Oh no, absolutely. Now,
it's been a great time doing what I do. Let me put it that way.
oh, absolutely, absolutely. Now, I've got to ask, because I've asked artists this question as well, and they kind of have fun with this because it catches them off guard as well. I don't like asking the normal questions that normal people get from this. In
Oh
case
boy.
you haven't noticed already, um, what has been the most, like, you've gotten requests to do different monsters, to make different sculpts and stuff like that.
Yes.
What has been the most just insane thing that they've come up with for you to do, and you basically go, can't do it?
Oh boy. I have had a few of those. Um, I don't have any off the top. God, wow, that is a good question.
Oh, I ask the good questions every once in a while.
That is a fantastic question. That is really good. Let's see. What is one that I have just said like, whoa, even for me, that's like, damn.
And
You
that's what I get
know,
from my artists whenever I ask them to. They're like, "Ooh, I got to." That's the exact same way they go. Is even for
there
me.
I have had requests for. I don't. I mean, there. It's not so much the subject matter is like too extreme. It's more that I don't prefer to do it.
Mhm.
I had somebody approach me about making the slashers, like all the different killers and things,
Yes.
but as more buxom, eroticized versions
Ah,
than even like those
okay.
statues that they have now on the market. Because I know they
Yes.
have those. I've
Yes.
seen them, but I don't remember. This was a couple of years ago, and I do remember when I was approached. I did say, "Well, I mean, they already make these other ones. Like, I've seen whole lines of them." And he's like, "Oh, no, no, no. So this one, I want like like the nipples to like pop out, and like the shirt to be slipped down here, and like the dresses to be hiked up, and can you put your hand like?" And I'm like, "Whoa, whoa, 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 whoa. Okay, no, I don't think so." I mean, I have no problem like sculpting certain types of anatomical anything, but is
Mhm.
when it gets like to that gratuitous level, I don't want to
Right.
be like Guy McPornmaker, like, so that's not my thing. Although I do have a joke, I'll tell you, just because it's like I'm always coming up with new different products well, not always, but every once in a while, like I come up with something new that becomes a staple of the company. And
Mhm.
I had a joke for the longest time. It was like, okay, so we got statues, we got shirts, we got novels. Okay, coming up next for the lonely people in your family, McMonsterMaker's masturbators, and those are and but it'll never happen. I don't think. But yeah, no. As far as statues go, that would probably be the weirdest thing that I've ever been approached on. The only other thing that I think would be as unusual, but I'm actually in the middle of producing it right now, is a statue of Buffalo Bill again from Silence of the Lambs with his, his junk tucked between his
Okay.
legs. He's naked, holding
Yes.
the shot. I'm sculpting that, and that is probably one of the weirder requests. Um, I wouldn't say weird, like who requested it is by far anything but weird. It's a very dear friend, but
Mhm.
she's just a huge Silence of the Lambs fan,
Yeah.
and I guess that's not a piece that you can readily come across. So I was happy to do it for her in that regard, but there is something a little bit taxing about having to constantly make sure that you're like getting the bulge of skin fat where his pubic bone is supposed to be. You know, it takes a bit of, it's like, all right, so like, does this kind of look like the junk is hanging there? Let me put like the fat in the leg to like go over like where the pubic hair is supposed to go. So it's, but some would look at that and just think of it as fine art.
And see, the great thing is this ties into whenever we first started talking at the beginning of the show, whenever you were talking about you're so much attention to detail. So now we're talking
Yes.
about Buffalo Bill, and I'm like, oh man, you got to be sitting over there going, no, I can't get this much detail in there.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Because so when I make hair, when I do anything, I mean, we're sculpting the strands, and I've never had to sculpt pubic hair or pubic patches before. So, it's a process. The nipples, we're gonna like have like all the little bumps on the areola and everything. It'll look real nice. But yeah, and again, it's not, it's just that I just don't prefer to
Mhm.
sculpt that kind of stuff. Like I've never, not the Buffalo Bill, but the other one, the
Right,
slasher, the buxom ones.
right,
I don't really enjoy doing hypersexualized things. I just don't.
right.
It's not my thing. I don't know.
And if it's not your thing, they're not getting your 100% in it either. So
Correct.
it's kind of
Yeah.
one of those things. It's like, even if I were to do this, you're not going to get what you normally would with everything else. The graboid is
Right.
going to look a lot better than
Like
this
I
one
would do
next to
it
you.
if I would probably say like, yeah, I could do everything you're asking for, but I need to do it my way. So if
Yes.
it's gonna be a big buxom lady, then like she's gonna have like her head decapitated with like tentacles and claws and things coming out. That's the only way that I would actually want to do
There you
it.
go. There you go. Now, and one of the last things that I want to kind of bring up on here is you've got your website, of course, where you've got some
Yes, sir.
stuff on there that is for sale. You have quite
Mhm.
a few T-shirts with some designs and everything on
Yes.
there. Did you come
Mhm.
up with all the designs that are on there
Yes.
for the artwork and all?
Correct. Yeah, everything is done in house. I leave nothing to anybody else in terms of the designing aspect. So yeah, the cuties, the nightmare fuel shirts, all of that is my brainchild.
There you go.
It just comes from, I think mostly it just comes from the foundation that you need in order to sculpt, because you can't really sculpt if you can't illustrate. I mean, you could, I guess. I don't know
Mhm.
how, but I mean, I'm sure you could, like, because I don't want to be one of those people who just assumes that you can't.
Mhm.
But I think it would be immensely difficult if you couldn't illustrate as well. But yes, and those are all of my officially licensed pieces. Everything that's on Etsy, all the movie pieces and everything. I am currently right now working with my publicist to do our very best to secure the licensing to, if not all, the most important pieces in that roster of
Yes.
products that I have on my Etsy shop, because I don't want to put them obviously on the company website, and then, get Mickey Mouse trying to murder me or something. So
But
I've heard
I,
stories.
I
So
would just recommend no Disney pieces for right now. Right now.
yeah, definitely not. I did think about doing like a horrifying Winnie the Pooh, but then they just came out with that new movie, and I was like, nope, we'll leave that. They got that covered, even though I'm not too fond of the design. But to each their own, right?
Well, I mean because the Disney movies are actually starting to fall off of being
Well,
owned
yeah.
anymore. And Winnie the Pooh
Uh
was one of
huh.
the first ones, and I
Yep.
could not believe how many people scooped that IP up.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Now that it's in the public domain, it's
Oh yeah.
fair game for me. So I say never. Maybe I'll start making some horrified, because that's another thing people always ask me when I would take commissions. They used to
Mhm.
ask like, "Can you do like this Disney person like as a horrifying this and that?" And then it's like, but that means I gotta look at Disney. stuff, and I don't want to do it. Although I am working on 3 more pieces, Disney-related pieces, for a wonderful client who wanted me to take the Stitch character from Lilo and Stitch and turn
Yes.
it into a special set of characters for her. And I have 3 done. I have 3 more I have to finish. And so that is the extent of my Disney anything, you know.
Yeah, but 626 can be fun to mess with on that.
626. I'm not familiar. What is that?
That's the Stitch character. That's his name.
Oh, see, that's how out of Disney touch I am. I have no idea.
You're going to make me go into the voice now. So, Mahaman's family.
Oh boy. Maybe I'll make him voice activated or something. Then I'll call you and say, "Hey, Demon Phil, can you do me a favor and do like a little recording for this one?" Like,
so yeah, exactly. We're going to scare them with what it looks like and have voice on there too. Oh yeah, I'm in.
Oh yeah, yeah, that would be gold, I think.
It has been an absolute honor having you on here, and I don't want to keep
Likewise.
you, the entire time, because I could keep you on here for hours and hours, I'm sure.
I appreciate it. I could stay here for hours. You're very easy to talk to.
Well, I certainly appreciate that. I'm going to go ahead and give you full screen here in just a moment, and I've actually got your links and everything will be going along the bottom because I got a banner on there. But everyone that's watching this right now, don't worry. You don't have to screenshot it or speed read or anything like that. The links are actually embedded in the feeds, so you can go directly over there to them and start supporting in any way you can. Before I give them full screen, my shows always have the same kind of tie-in on there. The 2 hashtags that I use. Number 1 is hashtag power of the finger, the correct one if you can. Hit that share button and get these shares out there and get, not everybody can financially support everything that's out there. Everybody understands that. There's no one who doesn't understand that.
Right.
Not everybody's a friend with somebody named Gates. It just doesn't happen. I wish we were, but not. But that being said, it costs you absolutely nothing to hit that share and get this shared out there more. So it's not only my show to get more exposure for Guy on all the stuff he's working on right now and the stuff he'll be working on in the future, but also on his links that are going to be on there, share those out as well and get more people involved in what he's got going on and get some people over there. Because in doing so, we do the second hashtag, which is Voice of the Indies. Voice of the Indies was a name that was given to me by Larry Higgins of Niobe Comics, and I declined it as a single name because it's a conglomerate as far as I'm concerned. Voice of the Indies is a conglomerate working together to increase that voice together. So you use the power of the finger to increase the Voice of the Indies together. And right now, Guy's going to tell you why you need to get over there and use the power of that finger to increase that Voice of the Indies and get over there from McMonsterMaker and see what's going on over there.
Oh boy. Okay, so you should go to my website if you like freaky monsters and things, and if you like to read, you should pick up my book. And if you can't read, then you should buy a shirt based on my book. And if you don't like to wear clothes, then you should buy a statue to cover up your junk because you don't wear clothes or read. That's the best I got. Thank you so much, Demon Phil, for having me on here. I really, really had a fantastic time. This was great.
Hey, absolutely.
Hopefully I did justice to your screen, just putting me on the screen thing.
Oh yeah, no, it was great. Trust me.
Okay.
People are going to be watching this going, okay, so am I going to be naked at some point, or am I going to be
right? Yeah.
Because he said I had to do this one way or the other. I can't do it either way or both on this. I have to make a choice.
No matter what, use the power of the finger to subscribe naked. Or wait, no, never mind.
That one's going to come back to bite me in the ass. I can already see it.
I'm sorry. Hey, you know what? I know what that's like. Just like with the whole doing the post like a public service announcement. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is not actually Guy. What do you think, stupid? We already know this. Like, it's not for you. It's for everyone else. I'm probably going to catch flack for that now. Just, it's the least I could do.
Oh, no, that is awesome. Like I said, it has been an absolute honor having you on here, being able to talk to you about this stuff. I look forward to getting you back on and talking about some more of your stuff in the future and seeing what else you're coming up with.
I look forward to coming back. So absolutely.
Hopefully I'm going to be coming down there to Texas, back to my roots, to visit some people down there. And we're definitely have to meet up at some point and take a look at stuff and everything there.
That sounds like a plan, if you ask
But
me.
if everyone will remember to please like, subscribe, and share today. I want you to subscribe, not because it's going to make me a YouTube millionaire, because I'm nowhere near close to that. I'm not going to retire from this by any means. In fact, it's probably going to put me in the tax bracket where I'm actually going to owe more taxes than I already pay. I only do this because it gets more exposure for my guests. That's the only reason that I ask for everybody to subscribe on this. So if you
You're
haven't
very
already
kind.
subscribed, please do so. And that way you can see more of this content and the other content that I have with the other shows and the other things that I have on here. So again, thank you very much, Guy, for being on here. I appreciate it. And I'm
Thank
looking
you.
forward to seeing what else you come up with over there, and cannot wait for the pop-ups. I mean, the pop-up books.
It's coming. I mean, maybe not the leaving pop-ups, but a pop-up of some sort. I
There you
promise you
go.
that. Even if I have to cut it out of like craft foam or something, we'll
There you
make
go. There you go. So until next time, I get to say what I say at the end of every show, and I love doing it every time. Y'all go ahead and stay creative out there and keep it indie, y'all.